Welcome everybody to UFO Man Live. My name is Tim or UFO Man. I prefer to be called Tim because my whole panel is UFO Man team, and they consist of my flock Sarah, bottom left, and
Hello.
Polly Rotterman, bottom right.
Mm.
Tonight we have a very special guest with us. His name is John Burroughs. He was a very significant participant in the RAF Bentwaters Rendlesham Forest UFO encounter back in 1980. We are going to dig deep into his new book, which is Project Rendlesham, Crossing the Threshold from Military Encounter to the Reality of the Divine Field, Weaponizing UAP by John Burroughs and Toby Martinez. Toby is an employee at the Roswell Daily Record in Roswell, New Mexico, who I know personally, but he's not here this evening. So what we're going to do is give you a little download on John real quick before we have him come on. I can't talk. I'm sorry. I'm getting tongue-tied. John, welcome to the panel, okay? Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, sir, we are just very excited to
Yeah,
have
that's it. That's
uh,
it.
yeah, like this is a honor. Thank you so much for your service. And we are so delighted because you were the first responder that day in 1980, together with your partner, Mr. Pennystone. And so we would love to start with maybe just let's start with your background. Um, your siblings, your family, how, your childhood. Let's start there.
I was born in Bloomington, Illinois. I lived my first, 18 years here, graduated from high school. I have one sister, and I joined the military right out of high school to get out of Illinois. So it's kind of I played basketball, graduated from high school, nothing spectacular. Worked a little bit, after the basketball season before in between basketball seasons, my junior and senior year. So there was really nothing spectacular about my life. Just good old country boy from Illinois at the time. So,
Was there a special reason why you got to the army or just
I mean, the Air Force. Well, at the time in the '70s, I don't know what it was like. Well, again, I'm older than you guys most likely, or two of the three of you. But we were going through a really rough time. The economy wasn't in good shape. They were coming out of the Vietnam War. There wasn't a lot of jobs, so I actually did have a decent job, but I was ready to get out and see some of the world, and go somewhere, do something different than staying back in a small town in Illinois. So went down to the recruiter, signed up, and got in almost immediately, and went down and went through basic and tech school, and then got assigned to RAF Bentwaters and then got for my first assignment.
wonderful? So take us to that day where you got this call about these strange lights and what happened.
Well, actually, we were the ones that called it in. It was I've been there a year and a half, and it was Christmas night. We came on duty at 2300. We were working our last midnight shift, and we were on patrol. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning, 0300, or a little before that, my supervisor was new to the base, wanted to ride around a little bit to get to know me better because it was a slow night. So I met up with him. When it got in his vehicle, we started driving around doing our checks. And one of the checks was to go down by the East Gate, which is out on the perimeter on the flight line. And it was heading down the perimeter road. He saw strange lights up in the sky going into the forest. And he kind of got my attention because I wasn't looking where he was looking. And he asked me if I'd seen anything like that before down at the gate. By that time, I was in the forest, and the forest was lit up, and I said no. So we drove off, opened the back gate, went down to the end of the road, got out, and it just didn't seem right. There was static electricity in the air. It just didn't feel right. We were off base. We didn't let them know we were not off base. So we drove back up to the gate right away, got on the phone, tried to stay off the radio, and called it in to the desk. And at that point, the desk sergeant didn't really believe us, thought we were yanking his chain. So he transferred us to the security control, told him the same thing. So they went ahead and sent down a security supervisor to verify what we were telling him. When he got down there with his rider, he could see the same thing we were saying. So at that point, he went back on the phone, and there was a discussion, and I wasn't privy to it. I'm just giving to you secondhand what I was told. They actually did some radar checks. We had RAPCON on the base at Bentwaters, and it picked something up in the sky over the forest, and it went into the forest. Eastern Radar and Heathrow also observed something on their scopes, and it went into the forest. So a decision was made because we were out in the middle of nowhere. They did call the British authorities with the fire department and the police. They were miles away. So a decision was made that possibly an aircraft crashed. So at that point, the three of us got in the pickup truck and we left the base unarmed and went down into the forest to figure out what we could see, what was going on.
Wow.
A lot of people reported a red light in the woods. Is that correct information or is that incorrect?
No, there was a different coloring light. The woods were kind of lit up in a white light, but it was kind of a reddish hue that was in it, like a smoky reddish hue at some points. And inside of that was different coloring lighting. Like there was a red type of light in it. There were some blue lights, some green was in it. And so that's what we were observing at first. So once we went down, we left the base and we went down on a logging road, went as far as we could in the vehicle and got out. And then we started going towards the light. At one point, it seemed to play cat and mouse with us where we thought we were getting close to it. Then it was behind us, then it was back in front of us. But eventually, as we went through the forest, we came into an area where there was a berm. As we went up on top of the berm, that's when the light was in front of us, but it was kind of a duller. And then as we went up on the berm, it lit bright white light, and then we all hit the ground. And that's when everything changes. All three of us remember differently, remember what happened differently and everything else.
Right. Is that when it changed into a triangular kind of vehicle?
Well, I don't remember it that way. So that was one of the individuals that said all that, but I don't remember seeing it that way, neither does Ed. Neither one of us can verify that story. And what we remembered was getting close to it. Ed blacked out, he said, and then I remember it was there, then it dimmed, and then it got bright again and it left. And then the security supervisor, Peniston, said it was a triangular object, walked around it, saw glyphs, touched the glyphs, and had a download. So his story is completely different than Ed's and mine. So.
Did you see there a white orb?
No, there wasn't like a white orb. The orbs would have been blue, and the reddish, the bigger one was the reddish colored one, which is what I drew on my statement.
Did it look like an intelligent thing, kind of it could track you or feel you or?
At the time, no. At the time, no. There was nothing that when I got close to it that I felt like it was communicating with me or anything like that at all. No.
Well, the reason why we were asking is because it was playing cat and mouse with you. So it acted intelligent.
Right, but you have to understand, you're throwing in stuff that was found out afterwards. We were living a moment that we weren't expecting, that it was Christmas night, it was our last midnight shift, and all of a sudden there were strange lights out there. And as we got closer, what we were seeing, we couldn't explain, you couldn't explain it. So therefore, it wasn't like we called it aliens, but there was nothing that we felt at that moment we could have.
Oh no, I understand that. Yeah. Okay.
But all this other stuff came out after the fact, where when we started investigating, or I did with another guy, where we uncovered what that area was all about. That area is actually British.
Yeah, no, and I'm actually asking because I'm trying to, I recalled we had an interview with also an ex-veteran called John Mylor, and he expressed that they saw in the jungle also like a white orb. That's why I was asking if it was
No, it
kind
wasn't. It wasn't like that. But Pennison did say he communicated with it. So, but as far as Ed never mentioned that to me ever. After the event, or I talked to him a few years later when we're putting the first book together, and he never mentioned feeling like he had a communications. He did say he blacked out.
So
and
why
then
would you say you guys had different point of views or different images about what happened? Is
well, that's
this
what
like
you have to
the
understand what a UAP
instrument?
is. You have to
Is the
understand what a UAP is. If you go to Project Condign, which is a declassified MOD report that they put together,
Right.
and in that report was part of the reason why I got my settlement. They stated that I was injured. We were exposed to UAP radiation. It explains that when you get close to this type of phenomenon, it will alter your perception, your memory, and everything else.
right?
So it actually explains why we each had different views of what we saw. And it has to do with the phenomenon itself and how it can manipulate you when you
Do
get
you
close
think
to it.
is this also a matter of consciousness? Because not all of us are on the same state of consciousness and not on the same frequencies. So is this related also to our state of consciousness on those at the same point? Meaning, were you aware already of the UFO phenomenon before or previous to that experience? What were your thoughts about it? How did that change your consciousness? And what were your different states of consciousness of all the three of you, for example?
Well, I'm going to give it to you straight. I was a 19-year-old, was it 20? This was 80. So, yeah, I was 20 years old. And the things I focused on was I liked my work and I liked my off duty time. So prior to any of this, no experiences with UFOs, which was what they were called at the time, or anything like that. No thoughts about UFOs, nothing like that.
Neither your
Right.
parents talked about it.
No, not at all. And then I can't speak for Ed or Peniston because I didn't live in the dorm. I lived up base. We didn't really talk about it much after the first night. Peniston got it moved right away to the back office, so we never really talked about it. So I'm not really sure how it affected them. But at that moment, I didn't feel like I had a connection with anything. In fact, I didn't clarify it as a UFO. I mean, like an alien or something. It was just something that we saw that doesn't match up to what we know we have technology-wise. And what, and that was it. And trust me, if you've been in the military, I was an E3. I was not a staff sergeant like he was. And when you get told to shut up and color, you shut up and color. You know, you salute and you move on. And I was told they get back to us if they need anything from us. Don't worry about it. Press on and go back to work. And I did. I left it alone. And it wasn't until after the News of the World story broke that my life changed. It was actually more dramatic since the event and what we found out and the health issues I had afterwards than the actual night that we went out there. But now remember, there was another night I went out there. So there was night one where we went out there. Night two, we went on break, and then a new flight took over midnight shift. They had some stuff go on that I'm only going to tell you secondhand because I found out about it when I went up on the desk on Saturday morning. Was they saw lights again. The shift commander and the flight chief went out there and had an encounter. It screwed with the shift commander's vehicle and shut it off. She freaked out and actually did get relieved of duty. and did get sent out back to the States almost immediately. Because the third
Wow.
night, she was supposed to be the shift commander, and he wasn't. That was a different shift commander, Lieutenant England, who was on swing shifts but stayed over for the midnight shift. Is when Colonel Halt's team went out there. When they saw the lights, went to the base, Woodbridge base. They were having a party. Let the base
Right.
commander know. Then they all went out to the forest, and then that's when me and two other guys met up with them after they were already out there. And I went forward with another guy that was with the team, and we got really close to it this time. And I went into it and disappeared, and he saw me go into it and disappear.
Wow. Do
Wow.
you have any memories of going into it?
Neither night do I have any memories of getting what happened when we got close to it each night. But that's part of what the phenomenon can do.
Right.
Did
It can
you feel
change your
different?
perception.
But go ahead.
Did you feel different afterwards? Like, did you realize
I
something
didn't
happened
feel
afterwards?
good. I didn't really feel good after the event, or I felt kind of sluggish and didn't feel the greatest. But I mean, it wasn't until I got back to the States 6 months later when they found a heart issue, and then
All right.
and it went from there. As far as
I know there were some interesting findings in, I think there was some skin tissue, DNA or something that was taken from you. Am I right?
well, yeah, but that's we're jumping way ahead. I mean, because where I'm going with this is that I went from 1981, and then I think the story broke. What was it, in '83? News of the World. That's when the reporters started chasing us and everything, and that's when they hid me, Halt, and General Williams, who's a colonel, was the wing commander over in PACAF. Halt and I were put in Korea, and Williams is a PACAF commander, and the press couldn't get at us. We were hid. They couldn't get over there. You had to have a visa, and they wouldn't grant them a visa to interview us. And then the CNN piece broke. So that's when the story hit the main time. Then over the years, different people, ancient aliens, what was it? Unsolved Mysteries. All these different shows, different people came forward and talked about what happened to them. But it was in 2009 when I was out of the Air Force, because I stayed in. Everybody that was involved got out. I stayed in until 2006. And I actually did a tour in Bosnia during the Bosnia invasion, and I did 2 tours in the Middle East after 9/11. And I was in a classified location in the Jordanian Valley for the Iraqi war. And I was exposed to some stuff over there. And it was us that I saw, but that started opening up my eyes that what we encountered, plus some of the other things I found out prior, probably wasn't just the UAP phenomenon, but it was something that we were doing with the UAP phenomenon. So, so in 9, I started trying to get people back together to get the stories, get people to talk and stuff, which wasn't an easy task. And in 10, I got sick after I returned from England for the 30th anniversary. And that's when the doctors, I started having a lot of heart problems, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And at that point, the doctor wanted to go back to the original issue of my heart, which was right after the event. And what happened was when they found the heart issue, they sent me to Wright-Patterson for an evaluation, and they did all kinds of tests on me. And the time the doctor came back to me and said, well, you've got an issue, we'll monitor it. That's all he said. He said, it's not life-threatening now, but we'll monitor it. So back when we get fast forward to 2010, I was getting really bad, and the doctor couldn't figure it out, so he wanted to see those records. And that's when the military stepped in and said they're all classified.
Were there
So-
any implants found in your body ever?
No, not that I'm aware of. But
Romy,
Well, I'm
wait,
asking
there-
about, I'm
wait.
sorry, I'm asking about the skin foundings, just because recently there is these allegations about the CIA kind of hunting civilians or human DNA in order.
yeah, we could get into that, Polly, but that's down the road. I got to tell the rest of the story. Sarah, what was your question?
I was going to say, Romy had asked a question. Were you ordered at any point not to like talk about it, or you'd get in trouble or something?
We were told it was what you call a You go and stand in front of the wing commander, the base commander, and you're told that they're aware of it, they're looking into it, and to go back to work and don't worry about it. That's basically being told to shut up and call it. So
So they weren't like
Yeah.
threatened or in those NDAs or whatever, anything like that.
well, we were under NDAs, which it was not considered an NDA. We were under restrictions from the base based on the resources that were there. So we actually did sign paperwork and stuff that we couldn't talk about what our mission was, a particular part of the mission, and what was there and what was going on. But as far as what we encountered, no, they never, as far as with me, they never told me or made me sign any documents saying they couldn't talk about what we encountered in the forest.
I have a question for you in regards to your new book, which I would like to put up on screen so everybody sees it, which is Project Rendlesham: Crossing the Threshold from Military Encounter to the Reality of the Divine Field, Weaponizing UAP. What I want to ask about that, not the book per se, but the idea behind it, which is the weaponization of UAP. Hasn't that really been going on for quite a long time, since probably World War II or even before?
Well, yeah, but you show me some pictures where we came on of a craft. A UAP is not a craft, okay?
Right.
It's
No.
not. It's an energy field, okay? And it's
Right.
intelligent. So when they first discovered the UAP was during World War II, and they were the Foo Fighters.
Right.
And that all started with radars. And the radars would affect frequencies and cause different issues. If you go back to the Roswell crash, 2 weeks before the incident took place, whatever happened, they put online the largest radar system the United States had. Down, it was a
Right.
triangular system they put online. They moved it from the East Coast because they were having issues, and they moved it down to Roswell. So when they
Right.
activated the system, they had the event take place a couple weeks after the system went online. So
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that it interfered with the propulsion systems of
But-
whatever flew over.
maybe or maybe not. I don't know, because you got all kinds of stories, whether it was a balloon, whether it was a craft. There's all
Right.
kinds of issues. But ultimately, whatever happened about 2 weeks after the radar systems went online. And
Right.
I know for a fact they're still having issues down there with UAPs. They're not having issues with craft. They're having issues with UAPs in that area. And there's a ranch down there that they're having a lot of issues with UAPs. So
Yeah, I know of two ranches, but I think one's called Bradshaw and the other one Skinwalker.
no, this is a ranch in New Mexico.
Oh, in New Mexico.
This is separate from Skinwalker Ranch and Bradshaw, and I've been on both. And I've had
Okay.
UAP
Oh, wow.
I've had UAP stuff happen in both locations when I was there.
Wow.
Where I live right now, John, I invested in a Psionics Aurora Black infrared night vision camera, and I have picked up objects that change shape and project infrared light beams on the top of 60-foot pine trees from at least 1,000-foot elevation, because I have a GPS on my camera, and they make absolutely no sound. So whatever they are, if they're UAP, that's interesting, but they're showing signs of intelligent intent rather than like an anomalous event. So you're saying UAP are pretty much anomalous events?
I'm not sure what the government claims they are, but it's different. I can tell you a UAP that's been introduced now is different than the nuts and bolts, craft that they used
Right.
to put on TV. I mean, all you have to do is go to Mirage Man, and Christopher Green, who was CIA, said
Right.
that what we've been fed over the years is not what it is and not what's going on. And that when the truth comes out, it won't be like they're coming to eat us or anything like that.
Right.
And they right now the narrative they're driving is towards what UAPs are and how it's affecting us. And when the vice president said about 3 weeks ago they're demons, that opens up a whole can of worms. And this new Spielberg, somebody's seen the Spielberg movie, and it's going to be partly into that area. So
Right.
somebody just asked if I got 100% for my UAP encounter. Yes, I did. I did get 100% for my UAP encounter. And the other guy that was with me on the third night also has been compensated. So there's 2 of us that had this encounter that the VA has acknowledged we were injured in the line of duty during that event. So
I have to say this to you. We interviewed Daryl Sims recently, and he actually came out and said that his son and himself, individual encounters, had 3 grays walk through the wall, and then 5 horrific looking creatures behind them. Those 5 horrific creatures, he said he couldn't describe because they were so traumatic. I thought later on in the interview about what he said, and I came out and I asked him, I said, due to the narrative going on within the government concerning demonic nature of the phenomenon, do you believe that these 5 are demonic? He said, absolutely. So I don't know if that's the truth or not.
Well, but because the problem that's going on right now is the narrative is being driven this way since 2017. And that was when the New York Times article came out. Hillary Clinton went on TV, I think it's 16, said it's a new nomenclature, call it UAPs. They're driving the narrative to a different area than nuts and bolts UFOs, okay? But then they'll come back and say that there has been recovered crafts, but then they go back to this metamaterial that supposedly is real, that I know a lot about. And the thing is that they're going back and forth on this, but ultimately they're trying to drive the narrative. And when you go demonic is if you go into the Bible, which is something that Enoch and Jubilee were taken out of the Bible. And they discuss the fallen angels that come down and mate with whatever stage we were in humanity.
Right, and become and create the Nephilim. Right.
But the thing, they created the giants, but remember, the females weren't giants. So they created a bloodline. They created a new bloodline. And that's what I was going to try to get into. I guess she must have had to leave because there was something going on over there. But there is a DNA factor that they've been pushing for several years now. And if you go into the Bible, it says that the fallen angels created a hybrid bloodline. Okay? And they gave out forbidden knowledge. So you could transfer that right over to the UFO stuff. How did we advance technology-wise? How come they're looking for this DNA stuff? The latest story to break is they've used 23 and me and what's the other one?
Ancestry.
Yeah, they were looking through it there, but they also took my DNA and they also studied that, and they also studied 99 other military people's DNA from people that had encounters. That's all laid out in the book called Phenomenon by Annie Jacobson, and Gary Nolan's talked about that. And then they were also looking at the mind, the brain, the pineal gland area, where there was supposedly something different. What they wouldn't clarify was whether or not you had that before your encounter or it was created after your encounter. So they didn't really, but they did say they were looking for rare bloodlines. So that's all going on. It's all been going on, yeah.
I've heard that it's been going on for a long time, in fact, because there have been claims, and I say claims because there are no definitive chain of data to indicate that this is truthful 100%, but there have been claims that the human DNA chain has been altered 165 times and that they have found the changes. scientists have found the changes within the DNA chain, and they wonder why it was done and how it's been done. And they do claim that we have become who we are now according to those changes. And that's why there is possibly a vergence of a new species of human on Earth.
Well, that's not what the book talks about, and not what I was talked to about by Hal Puthoff, Gary Nolan, Christopher Green, and those guys.
Okay.
There's a hybrid bloodline that goes back to the time before Christ that they were looking for, and it has to do probably with what the vice president just said, demons. But you have to clarify, a demon is a fallen angel, but again, it went against God, but then God tried to get rid of it by causing the flood.
Right.
Noah's Ark. But supposedly the bloodline survived on Noah's Ark. So that's kind of a way they can get out of all this, really. Because they've said that there's a fight going on with religion or what it means. So if you were actually to come out and say that it's biblical, that it's angels, or the other factor they're trying to draw into it, it could be us from the future coming back, our energy when we evolve.
Right.
Oh, while he does that, wanted to thank you for his service and stuff. And Esmeralda says,
okay, I'm sorry I'm back.
It's okay.
I've got cats, and she just disconnected.
You're muted.
I'm a cat guy too, and I gotta say something to you, John. I'm ex-military. I got out of the Army after 4 years, and I was an E5. I was a sergeant. So there you go.
John, you're muted. You gotta hit the unmute button. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're back. Hopefully we'll leave it alone. But there's two different theories on the bloodlines that I was told about. Again, we'll see how they play this out. There definitely is something going on right now with this. Obviously, besides the fact that they're talking about it, Trump's talking about it, files are being released. The group that's been behind this since 2017 is on TV everywhere talking about it. So the problem is that they're not providing proof, and that's always the problem I have with this group. Just they come back and tell you to trust them, or they've seen this and you have to believe them. But so far, there's been no, smoking gun to verify everything's going on. Just like my DNA report is shocking, but it didn't have a chain of custody. And what I mean by that was it went to a rep.
Your audio just cut out.
Your audio just cut out.
There you go. Stop.
Okay.
Yep. There you go.
We went to a reputable lab, a top-notch lab in Pennsylvania, but I don't know. Once I sent it in, I don't know where it went. So the only way I would believe what they told me would be I'd have to be there for the DNA to be drawn and analyzed. So it's shocking if it's true, but I can't prove it without another test. And that particular test is a $15,000 test.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Wow.
And I'd still have to send it in, and I couldn't, go to the lab and have it done. So once it goes out of your hands, you lose track of it. I don't trust anything. I've been a cop for 27 years. So
you're right. Yeah.
Right. So you can't trust the results, right?
Well, they're not. You have to verify.
Right.
So if I took another test where it was from beginning to end, I kept track of my DNA and that's what it showed, then I would believe it. But without verification, I won't. Plus, the interesting thing was the very first test they wanted to run on me was blood. and I refused. But they got that during my surgery. So when they did my surgery, the DOD got my blood and tissue. So then they came back and wanted me to do the saliva test. So whatever they found out about me from the blood and the tissue, they wanted to follow up with the saliva test.
Wow.
So
Do they have a court order for that, or do they just take it?
the VA surgery, they didn't have to have a court order.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
We're talking the saliva test.
No,
No, I gave it to them. By that time, I knew.
Yeah.
So I knew what was going on. But no, they when you have surgery, they take your blood, obviously,
Right.
and stuff. So when you're in the military, there's all different kinds of rules, and VA all different kinds of rules. And they didn't they didn't make anything public. So I just know from the documents that they did it and they tested it. But that's interesting. They won't give me the results on that either.
Yeah,
And-
that's very interesting.
Yeah, people all tell me that's wrong, but anything that you're involved with that's been classified, anything that involves you directly is also classified.
Yeah,
Including
when I
the
got
records.
when I got my DD 214 upon discharge, everything that I did within the service was classified. Only thing that shows up on my DD 214 was my last rank.
That's interesting. So, but for me, it's all my medical records are locked down. And they actually came back at first and they denied I was in the Air Force from 79 to 82. They tried to say I was in with the DD-4 and 214, and I wasn't until 82. And then we forced the issue to the Department of Justice, and they admitted we were in 79. But then a bunch more stuff went on where they kept trying to say they weren't going to take care of me, and that's when McCain got. Cheryl Bennett was the aide that originally ran the thing, and she was a bulldog. But eventually McCain had to get in and threaten a hearing. But what people don't usually know is that even after I got my settlement, after the 2017 New York Times article, he held a hearing, and it was actually classified at first, where he brought those people in, and that's where the Dirts papers came from. And they actually testified what was going on behind closed doors. And then they did declassify some of what was said, but he unfortunately got brain cancer. He would have been the one that, if he would still be alive, would probably be the one that you could believe and would force the issue more than any of these other guys.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the other guys are grifters, pretty much. They're forcing a narrative without a definitive chain of data.
Well, they don't have the clearances.
Right.
The only people that can get at SAP programs are the Gang of Eight, and possibly the department chair, which is that particular area is one of the Gang of Eight. But the rest of these guys don't have the clearance to have access to any of this. And
Is the Gang of Eight connected to the Legacy Group?
I'm not sure what the Legacy Group is.
Legacy Group is allegedly the group that is control of the UAP negative narrative.
Oh, no, the Gang of Eight's Congress. It's 4 from the Senate, 4 from the House, and it's the both parties. Both the minority and majority of the Senate and the House, and then the 2 intelligence committees are on that. That's the Gang of Eight, and those are the ones that have the access to the higher up clearances and stuff. Like Congress will tell you, Nancy Mace admitted it, when they vote on these SAP programs, they're just told you're voting on $10 billion. They don't even know what the program is or anything else. So they just approved the $10 billion. So, and that's partly why the DOD or Department of War now can never get audited, because they're never going to get into the black projects.
Right.
The money that goes in there is never going to be audited, or what it's involved with. So, but the thing is that the subcommittee is doing this hearing. Comer's not even doing the hearing. He gave it to Luna, which is a subcommittee, and only Comer has subpoena power. So they don't even have the clearance or the ability to.
Oh, we lost your sound.
Back.
Yep, we're back.
So they don't even have the authority. And the last hearing they did, the guy that they talked to last said, first of all, I can't talk about anything unless we go behind closed doors in the skiff. And he said, but then my handlers have to allow me to talk about it. And number two, you don't have the clearance to hear it anyway. And that is the truth. They don't. These members of Congress don't have the clearance to hear or know about these top-notch programs. An SAP program has a list of people, and it's a small list that only they can have access or know about the program.
Right.
And if you're not on that list, you don't know anything about it.
I hear basically because people like Luna and people underneath her are considered temporary laborers because they're temporarily in office. So why would they need the clearances in the first place?
Well, yes and no, because remember, Congress controls the purse strings. So technically, these committees should know what the money's being spent on. But again, when you get to the level of SAP, that is very hard to go. Like you said, Mace admitted a few months ago, they just get told that you need 10 billion for this, 20 for this, and they're always going to vote yes, because they don't even know what it is. So that's how it is. So that goes back into what we're dealing with. And the book I wrote, the weaponization book I wrote with Toby, we talk about all the weapon systems and everything that are being developed off of UAPs. And it all started back outside the back gate at Woodbridge back in 1980, because that particular area was British's Area 51. All that technology, it's all documented too, that people want to argue with it. That was Area 51. They worked on lasers, radars, nuclear stuff, and everything else back there. And that was all done back outside the back gate, including it was Martlesham Heath. And what's interesting about it is back then you had three things that are interesting that are going on today. One, you had Spielberg's movie come out. Two, you had SDI being worked on, which people didn't think started until after Reagan, but it was being worked on then. Three, the scientists that were all working on that, a bunch of them either died or disappeared. Fast forward to today, Spielberg's movie, The Golden Dome, and scientists are disappearing and dying.
Right. Whistleblowers as well. Yep.
Somebody says if Congress, if they want the money, I would demand what it is for. That's not going to happen.
I have to say this. My channel, my original channel, UFO Man, was hacked and I was locked out of it. Nothing has happened to my channel. It's completely intact. And I was told by a person that worked on the channel to get it back that they used multiple fail safes and multiple IP addresses to lock me out. I think I got too close to something, and they definitely locked me down. So this is an alternate channel called UFO Man Reloaded, and that's why we're still trying to dig for the truth. And that's why we have you here tonight, John, because we want to hear what you have to say.
Right. Well, I mean, it's what I can tell you is, I'm not saying believe what you're about to be told, but there's definitely a movement that probably in the next few months, there's going to be a lot more floating around out there. I mean, all you have to do is, Toby and I were talking about this today, over 1 billion people have looked at the webpage on the release of these documents. So this is a popular, in fact, it's number one. It's more people are following this right now than they are the war in the Middle East or anything else.
Right.
So at this point, it's a hot topic, and there's a narrative being driven right now. Now, whether or not it's going to be believable or not, it's another story.
Right. That's why we're listening to you, because your story is believable.
Well, there's definitely, going back to that incident ties into what's going on today. I mean, that there's no other reason why this stuff would be classified. I mean, there's been rumors that something about Rendlesham is going to pop here pretty quick. So we'll see. Lou Elizondo was on X the other night and said that. He said that there was something about to come out about Rendlesham. So we'll see if it does. But it ties in to all the technology and what a UAP is and everything else. And it was clearly being worked on back in 1980 when we went out to the forest over those 3 nights.
Okay, I have to answer this question from SnoopySin100. What was the backup channel name again? It's UFO Man Reloaded or UFO Man 2.0. You can type in either one and you'll find the channel. John is actually, I've always considered you, John, something of a legend in your field because you have always fought for the truth. And we respect that. And Sarah, what do you think?
I think this is all just really fascinating. I had heard about this before, but not this in depth, and I really appreciate you coming on and say all this because it really makes you think.
The thing is whether what happened to us happened across the world. In our country, military people go on classified missions all the time.
Right.
Okay. And by no means am I saying what happened to us in those 3 nights was classified mission from our end. It was classified on what they were doing. But people either walk into things like we did or are involved in missions to get injured. And if you go even back to the Havana syndrome, the guys are now getting compensated, some of them for their injuries, but the government's still poo-pooing that. There's still 60 Minutes just did a piece on that, where they've now started to take care of them, but they're trying to say that isn't what happened to them. So the people in the military and people that work in the government need to be taken care of when they're involved in something the government doesn't want out.
Exactly.
That's what McCain was working on too. He was working on an avenue where if you had something happen to you, you could go to an area where they would be allowed to understand what it was, treat you. You may not be able to talk about it. You may be locked down on it, but that you could get care. But that isn't what goes on. People are getting injured all the time by different things. And that's one of the things that I pushed hard at Congress, because they actually asked me to come up and testify. They asked me to meet with the Aero Committee and the Gang of Eight. And I told them I wasn't interested because they claim they have this power and this ability. I said, then go to the VA and have them explain to you, because you said you get access to this, exactly why they gave me my, because I've got in the book, I show one document that proves the VA acknowledged I was injured in the line of duty during the Rendlesham incident. But I said, just get the VA to come out and say, yeah, based on the incident, we gave him compensation for it. And either they haven't tried or they were told not to pursue it further. So that's one of the reasons why I've never gone up there to talk to him about it. Because all you're hearing right now, and I'm not saying don't believe everything you hear, but just all you're hearing right now is people telling you they saw this, there's that. But there's been no proof that substantiates what they're saying is going on. And what I mean by that, recovered bodies, craft, and that kind of stuff.
What I'm going to say is I thought I had proof when I filmed what I did going over the building, but I realized that what I had was just a video. I didn't have solid evidence. I didn't have, like some type of metamaterial or slag that fell to the ground. I didn't have any markings. I didn't have any type of event that happened like you had in the woods. I didn't have any type of physical hands-on evidence at all. So all I had was a video.
Right, but a video can be, broke down however you want to. And when we went up to Skinwalker, we went out there, we had all kinds of stuff happen. The interesting thing was I used to make fun of people when they say, their equipment got shut down and all that other stuff. When Toby and I were out there that night with the equipment, all the batteries got drained. Everything got shut down. So, and there was something flying around out there. And up in up there at Bradshaw Ranch, about 2 hours worth of crazy stuff happened a few years ago when I was out there one night. So there's definitely something out there. It's intelligent in nature. The government's been aware of it for a long time. They're studying it. It clearly, I do believe now, I can understand why there's a problem with the biblical stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to cause an issue. And so I understand that. And the other factor, whether people like it or not, two things. I don't think we're ready for it anyway. But number two, I mean, right now, go down the weapon systems that we have that we're utilizing right now. You know they exist, but you don't know how they work.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
know where they came from and everything else.
Right.
And that's basically what is going on with UAPs.
Right.
I mean, they pretty much have confirmed now there's something out there, but they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you what it is, or they're not going to give up what they know. Especially for our adversaries in China and Russia. Even you could throw India, any of these other countries out there. Even though some of them are allies, they still want the advantage technically wise. So.
I have to say that even though I have the video, it did show some a nature of the object that I found to be interesting when it changed shape 5 times. And to me, that's indicative of something we don't have. But then again, I can't prove that.
Oh, no, we have the ability to do that.
We have the ability to morph craft.
Yes, we do. It's
Wow.
It's multiplying frequencies. That's what I'm telling you. When we went out in the fields and we saw what we saw, we couldn't explain it, but through declassified documents, and we've got it in the book and everything else, everything that was going on out there, we had the technology at that moment to create those effects. And that was in 1980. Now, fast forward to today with quantum online and the frequencies and the generation power that we have and the new generators that we have, all that stuff can be created.
Wow. So what I could have seen could have been man-made.
Well, where do you live? I mean,
I live in Lewiston, Minnesota. It's a small town in the middle of nowhere.
do you
rural
live
community?
Do you live by any military bases or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Is there a known area? Is that a known area to have that kind of activity?
I didn't think so until I started filming the night sky.
Right. And it depends on the equipment. That's part of the reason why they've gotten to understand it better, because our advancement, in our ability to track our tracking systems and scanner systems and stuff, all that's changed everything. The computing system and everything, and how the sensors and all work and stuff. So a lot of stuff that they didn't even know existed, it was there. So the odds are pretty good that probably was natural, because there's both. But we can create those things.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
I did not know that. Go ahead, Sarah.
I was gonna say I'm by a bunch of military bases out here, and by Pendleton, March Air Force Base, the Navy stuff out there, whatever it's called. I can't think of what it's called right now, but yeah. And I last year I was filming a fire, and a UFO just went right past the fire. I didn't expect to catch it. That was crazy. So yeah, I know that being around the military bases increases your odds of seeing stuff.
Well, it does, because there's radar systems there too. But the area out there where you're at, it's hot, is Edwards, Skunt Works, and then Catalina Island.
Yeah.
But they no longer need those areas, because back then they had to have the size of equipment and the energy to generate that required that type of systems. They now have the ability to do it in very small, compact in a vehicle.
Right.
They can create it with the radar system and the energy source and everything in a small vehicle. So
I actually saw the movie Tear in the Sky by Caroline Corey, and she actually and her crew filmed something outside Catalina Island in the sky that looked like a portal with a bunch of white UAP coming out of it.
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw that or not.
No.
But it actually looked like Tic Tacs coming out of it. And recently, someone in the know admitted to the fact that Tic Tacs are man-made?
Well, yeah, it's starting to come out that they are, and yeah, they've got the technology to do that. They do. I mean, that's why when they first started this whole thing, that I knew that they had the ability to do that. So that's why a lot of this stuff is us.
Do they have portal technology?
I don't think they can create
I
a
was
portal.
asking, yeah.
I don't think they could create a portal yet anywhere, but I think there are areas that have weak points that they can do that. They can manifest one. But are you asking me, can they drive up to your house and create a portal? I don't know. But what they can create, which is what's going on, and there was just a story out, the Army now has a tank with the metamaterial on it that can create an EM field around it that can deflect off the drones and stuff like that. And that's time dilation. So they can generate time dilation, which is like cloaking, where the dimension alternates. So you're in a different frequency zone. They can do it with tanks, they can do it with ships, and they can do it with aircraft. And the other thing is, they just admitted 3 days ago, the Bush now has the ability to generate laser power.
Oh,
wow.
The aircraft carrier does. And DARPA is working on the ability for each soldier to have a handheld device that they can actually generate a field around them. This is all declassified documents. This is all real stuff. This is not conspiracy or made up, or stuff like that. These are all things, if you go online and research, and you'll find this stuff. And
DARPA's way ahead.
Yeah, they are. And the Office of Net Assessment, which was the book before, we wrote about that. They were deep into this stuff. And the interesting thing was, most people didn't know about it. This is no lie. As soon as we put the book out, they shut the Office of Net Assessment down.
Oh boy. Wow.
Because you can't do FOIA with them now. It doesn't exist anymore.
Oh,
Right.
there you go. That's how they get that.
So there's a lot of things going on. I'm just telling you.
The excuses I've heard is because it's in the private sector and it's all compartmentalized.
Well, no, they have. Most of it has been moved out to the contract companies. That is true. And that was going on in 1980. In fact, I have a FOIA that we talk about in both books, but this latest one, Rendlesham Crossing the Thresholds, where the MOD admitted to me in writing that they were creating technology off of UAPs.
Well, I've heard that the cell phone crystal screen technology is directly related to reverse engineering.
I don't know. I know that what I'm aware of is in the book. We talk about the stealth, the lasers,
right?
Different
the
things
military
like
applications.
The military applications, yes.
I'm going to say that I do know that night vision that's used by the military was developed as reverse engineered from an alien crash, supposedly, and a couple other things. But in regards to most things, I don't think we'll ever know.
Well, I guess here's the defining moment in history. A lot of people think we're coming up to evolution or even an extinct level event. The problem is right now, they did manipulate the Bible. They took stuff out.
Right.
So if everything that was fed to us through the Bible is real, and Noah, the God punished the earth for what happened with the fallen angels and what we became, then you could maybe explain what's going on with the weather and everything else. Because the next thing that's supposed to happen would be with fire. And if the earth is heating up, we get to a point where we can't sustain life on the earth.
Right.
So that could be what's going on. Could be.
I always thought it could end in nuclear holocaust because of fire.
I don't think so, because being from the military for 27 years and being where I was and what I saw, all these different countries, except maybe Iran, that may be truthful. That those mullahs were that crazy. Most people understand that you're not going to survive. And
Right.
there's very few people that just want to die. So if you start something, you're going to die too. So most people don't want to die. So it's just been one of those.
Yeah, the MAD, mutually
Yeah.
assured
Yeah,
destruction.
but Iran was those mullahs were a little crazy, and so that could have been a defining moment. But I don't think it'll come from a nuclear event. I think it'll come. I think this is. I'm really sitting back. Usually, I have my microwave popcorn. I've got my movie theater popcorn now because this is about to get really interesting, in my opinion. Now,
I agree.
what to believe or not to believe is going to be the hard part.
Right.
Yeah.
My point.
Well,
So,
about believing things is it's got to be what makes sense to you, and also keep an open mind. And if something changes, don't be afraid to change with it. You know what I mean? It's how we have to handle these things, because what's about to come out, I agree, is about to be crazy.
well, the problem is I said this is something I felt 15, 20 years ago. I used to have discussions with different people when I was trying to research this stuff, that if there is something going to happen again, biblical, humanity, the people in charge are probably arrogant enough to think they can manipulate it and control it and stop it. And
Right.
if they want to manipulate us and control us, all you have to do is go back to COVID, and it shows you how easily society can be manipulated.
Oh yeah.
And 9/11 too. So if you look at all the things that have happened since 2001, it wouldn't be that hard to create something to try to manipulate society to try to overcome whatever they feel is about to happen or could happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of technologies that people wish we had, we really might already have. I mean, Rick Doty supposedly stated the other day that we've had time travel since the 80s. Now, I don't know if I believe him or not, but if we do have it, it's technologies that are being suppressed.
Well, yeah, they've suppressed a lot of things. I mean, the stealth fighter was around for a decade before they admitted it existed. And
Right.
the only reason why they gave that up was because something else crashed, and they gave up the stealth fighter to keep what's crashed out in the desert from being looked at more deeply. And that was a whole different weapon system. So
Right.
Yeah, they hide stuff all the time. I know Rick, no proof. That's the problem I have.
That's
Everything
what
in
I
the
have
two
with
books
him.
no, but it's not just him, it's all of them. Everything in the book, the last two books Toby and I've written, we sourced. It's proven. This technology is
Right.
real. This is what it does. This is what happens. This is what happened to me in the book. The second book, I've got emails from all the main players, the government itself, Congress, what they.
Your audio went out again.
You're still out.
You're back. You're back. You're back.
This latest book, I have all the emails and interactions I've had. Hal Puthoff, Kit Green, Gary Nolan, Congress, and everything else. So everything that we talk about in these last two books is proven. And
You have a chain of data.
including the fact that Adrian and I were both injured, and we have proof that the government admitted we were injured in that incident. And that incident was labeled a UAP incident. So
Right.
that's all real. But all this other stuff, they haven't proven it.
Right. Were you the first one to get coverage through
Yeah.
the U.S. government?
That's been declared. Okay. And what I mean by that is I can't say there's not somebody else out there that had something happen and they were taken care of. What I can say is I was told by people inside government that our incident never should have gotten out, but it did. And that's partly the reason why, things happened the way it did with me, because there's a lot of things that go on that people aren't aware of. And so there could be somebody else or a group of individuals or something that have been injured or had encounters that have gotten some kind of care. I mean, you could just go back to the Havana syndrome, which ties into this, and some of those people are getting taken care of.
Right.
So-
Have you ever felt threatened by those in the know concerning what you know and what you have talked about?
I didn't really feel threatened directly, but I was, not this book, but the book before this. When we talked about the net assessment, I did get some negative feedback that I crossed the line. So that net assessment office, they did not want to be expanded like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, well, the guy just said the disability board for the VA is complicated. I got full compensation in 2.5 years from beginning to end. And that was from an incident that took place in 1980. So they're right. It is very complicated, but mine was taken care of that quick. So
That's very good. Sarah, do you have any last comments for John?
I just really want to say thank you for coming. I really just I'm trying to take this all in. This is way more than I thought it was going to be tonight, and I really enjoyed this. Thank you very much.
read the book, Sarah. If you're blown away by this, the book will blow you away. You can get it online on Kindle for $1.99.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we're both going to get it, and
Right.
maybe once we both read it a couple of times, then we'll have you back and discuss it
Well,
more.
that I will tell you this. Even Colonel Halt read it and said he agreed with it, but it took him 2 times to go through it because of the technical stuff that's in it. I'm just telling you, everything in it is provable. There's none of this,
Okay.
well, we have this technology, but I can't talk about it, or we can't go into detail, and there's no evidence that we have it. Just trust me. Everything we
Right.
talk about, we go back in history and go forward about how this technology has evolved through UAPs, how it affected me, how it affects government, and what's going on.
Right. I was going to ask you that that short intro that you made called "Learn the Truth" about your book. Is it okay if we play it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, here it is.
North. Okay, here he comes from the south. He's coming toward us now. I'm observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground. This is unreal. 0330, and the objects are still in the sky, although the one to the south looks like it's losing a little bit of altitude. We're turning around and heading back toward the base. The object to the south is still beaming down lights to the ground.
Okay,
Wow.
that's one book that's available by John, but the newest book that's available by John and Toby Martinez from the Roswell Daily Record is this book here, Project Rendlesham: Crossing the Threshold. It is available on Amazon. Please go over there and pick up a copy and read it, and let us know what you think in the comments of this show posted on YouTube. We're also going to send the link to John, so if he has a place to post it, he can post it as well.
No problem. I'll put it on my Facebook page. So
Okay,
Cool.
Sounds good to us.
okay.
I want to thank you very much, John, for being here tonight. Thanks for
Yes,
being our
thank you.
guest,
Thanks for having me on.
for being so gracious with your information.
Right,
I
and
really appreciate
stay tuned, folks. Get your popcorn or whatever you like to eat as a snack.
it.
'Cause
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a magic carpet ride between now and the fall. And
yep.
let's see what
Yeah.
goes down. I mean, again, like I said, it shocked me today when I found out over 1 billion people are following this right now.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yep.
1
It's
billion
true.
people have looked at the webpage. That's how much interest is in this. So
Right. It's actually grown because before they started releasing the files, it seemed like people had become jaded, like they had lost interest since 2017. So,
well, that's just because they provide no evidence.
right, exactly.
And again, I always sound like a negative Nelly, but you can only go so long with trust me. This is what I know. This is what I've seen. This is what's going on, and provide no proof before people start to lose interest. There's
Right,
got
exactly.
to be hardcore proof to back up what you're saying, especially when it's that they're making this so hyperbolic, so big, so
Right.
huge, and so it'll affect mankind so boldly. Then show some proof. Stop teasing us. Give us the meat and potatoes.
Yes, agreed.
We agree with you.
Thanks, guys.
We want to thank everybody who participated online, everybody who participated in the chat, and we want to say thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
People of Earth, do not fear us. We are only here to help you ascend to a higher frequency. When you do, you will become one with our intergalactic community.
Looking for proof that we're not alone? Welcome to UFO Man Reloaded, your one stop for all your UFO needs. Hit subscribe and join the mission.